And speaking of fucking idiots, Joe Rogan back at it, spreading complete fucking bullshit on the largest podcast in the world. And supposedly left-leaning Spotify don't give a fuck. Which just shows you these left-leaning companies are anything fucking but. It's all capitalism. It's all corporatism. All they give a shit is about money. The bottom line, they don't give a shit how many people Joe Rogan encourages not to get the vaccine. They don't give a shit how much anti-vax bullshit Joe Rogan spreads. They don't care how many people die because of it. As long as that fucking money is coming into their pockets, that's all they goddamn give a shit about. This got 3.9 million views.
Because they're dumb.
They're dumb.
They're dumb. They don't understand history. They don't understand human beings. They don't understand human nature. They don't understand the history of every single country that's ever existed other than the United States. Up until 1776, every fucking country that has ever existed was run by dictators.
Right.
Wrong again, goddammit. Gonna claim that other people don't know history. Joe Rogan doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. We've had democracy around forever. Now, Greece, Rome, hell, we had a parliamentary, is that what they call it? In England for a long time.
All of them. This is the first one where you had elected officials. This is the first experiment in self-government that actually worked. But as soon as you put the boots to them, as soon as you tell them, you have to do this or you can't do that. You have to listen to me. Now you have a mini dictator. You have one step away from a king.
This guy does not give a shit about dictators, because he's busy calling out people who simply want other people to be vaccinated so they'll get the rest of us sick, instead of spending the equal amount of time or even more time calling out things like the big lie that Trump told, which completely discredits our democracy and helps push us to fascism and a dictator. Dude does not give a fuck about fascism and dictatorships.
You have a one step closer. You're moving one step closer to dictatorship. That's what the fuck is happening. That's what's going to happen with a vaccine passport. That's what's going to happen if they close borders. You can't enter New York City unless you have your papers. You can't go to here unless you have that. You can't get on a plane unless you do what I said.
We've had this shit forever. How come he never spoke out about how if you have to have your kids vaccinated for school, that's going to lead to dictatorship? It's been like that for 30, 40, 50 years? How long has it been like that? Never a word from Joe Rogan. How long has it been since you've had to have certain vaccines to travel to other countries? Forever? Not a word from Joe Rogan about how this leads to dictatorship, because it fucking doesn't. Has nothing to do with that. But now that we're in a pandemic, where almost 700,000 people are dead, and he's got his $100 million, and he's sitting his rich, fancy, bald ass up in Texas. Now he's fucking suddenly worried about it. Because all he's doing is pandering to the fucking idiot chuds in his goddamn audience, leaning head on into the conservative bullshit he's spewing.
And people say, whoa, it's all about protecting people from the... No, it's not. It's not, because
it is 100% about protecting us.
But I know that most people who get vaccinated, when they do have the disease, they have a better time of it than the people who are unvaccinated.
That's why we want them vaccinated,
but where are the people out there calling for people to get healthy? Where are the people out there calling for people to lose weight?
People being fat, it's not contagious. That's why we're not out there demanding people be thin, you fucking moron. They are not a risk to my health. They're not a risk to my grandma, obviously. And he also, on his show, cited a scientific study, and the guy who ran the study freaked out because he said Joe Rogan, of course, was misrepresenting the study.
Meanwhile, you have science that's coming out. There's legitimate articles. Jamie, I'll send this to you now. There's legitimate because doctors have been sending me these things. And, you know, this is neither pro nor con vaccine. This is not a judgment statement. But imperfect vaccination can enhance the transmission of highly virulent pathogens.
Right.
So this is a scientific paper from 2015 that shows that here's what an important quote: vaccines that keep the host alive but still allow transmission can thus allow virulent strains to circulate in a population. So vaccines that don't kill the virus, vaccines that allow people, like this is one of the things we're finding out about what they're calling breakthrough cases.
Right.
So people who are vaccinated can still get COVID and they can still transmit COVID. This recently happened at the Comedy Store. A vaccinated comedian gave COVID to like 12 different fucking people at the Comedy Store. Some of them vaccinated, some of them not. That situation where the vaccine just kind of protects you from serious damage,
right?
But it protects you from really being like badly hospitalized or death, but doesn't stop you from getting the virus, can possibly lead to more potent viruses. So these people that are saying, oh, it's these unvaccinated people that are responsible for the variants. Well, there's actually scientific papers that point to the very sort of environment that we're creating by having so many people vaccinated with a vaccine that doesn't kill off the virus. It actually can lead to more potent viruses. Try finding that story anywhere.
Joe Rogan is getting this completely wrong, says the scientist who conducted the vaccine study. Joe Rogan, public misrepresentation of a 2015 vaccine study has gone viral. His misunderstanding of the study leads Rogan to wrongly conclude that vaccinated people against COVID-19 will increase the chances of some hyper-virulent mutation. You can watch the video below, but before you do, the lead scientist and author of the study who spent 10 years conducting this research has something to say because he's horrified. Joe Rogan is getting this completely wrong, says Andrew Reed, professor of biology and entomology at Pennsylvania State. Hey, Joe, why don't you get this guy on your fucking show so he can educate you? So you stop spreading this bullshit misinformation that's going to lead to people's deaths. He's taking very careful work about evolutionary scenarios of the future, and from that, erroneously concluding that people should not be vaccinated now. Rogan quotes a line from the paper's abstract, out of context, vaccines that keep hosts alive, but still allow transmission could thus allow very virulent strains to circulate in a population. Reed responds, we're talking a very different virus and very different vaccines. The details in biology really matter a lot. The chicken vaccines we worked with, the first generation vaccines, definitely reduce disease, severity, and death. But unlike the COVID mRNA vaccines, the chicken vaccines didn't stop transmission at all. And this is one of the key differences between what was being studied in Reed's paper and our current situation with the global pandemic. Those vaccinated chickens just kept churning out the virus for weeks and weeks and weeks. Again, this is the key difference. It's a very different virus from SARS-S2. A key issue here is transmissibility. So Joe Rogan always don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Why would he educate himself? Got the largest platform in the fucking world, gonna spread misinformation. And like I said, Spotify don't give a fuck. And of course, immediately, all the right-wing chuds went out there to pat Joe Rogan on the back, like Don Jr. Joe Rogan gets it. Yeah, hey, Joe Rogan. Here's the people that support you. Here's the people that have your back. Is this really what you want, Joe? Answer, yes. Because Joe Rogan actually loves Trump. Joe Rogan is actually a fucking chud dipshit. And of course, Paul Joseph Watson. The mob is trying to cancel Rogan again because he read from a peer-reviewed scientific paper. No. They're trying to point out that he's spreading misinformation because he took what the paper said out of context and spread bullshit to the largest podcast platform in the world, you lying sacks of shit. Which is what the scientists literally told you. But why report that, Paul Joseph Watson? Why be honest about it? Got 11,000 likes because they don't give a shit if they kill people, folks. Evil incarnate. That's what conservatism is.